This is my alarm for Seamus's meds. He has to take it every day between 5 and 5.
We don't have an update for when
It sounds like a wedding.
they're gonna do this.
Right.
Anytime.
Please do it.
Probably like
Procedures.
right now.
How you doing, Ann?
Good, Craig, how are you doing?
Good.
Good. See, Tim's coming in, so.
Yeah. And what time we got?
5:30.
Yeah. Maybe the audio.
To call to order the regular meeting of the Village Downtown Development Authority for July the 7th, 2026. May we have roll call, please?
Ann Olberg,
Here.
Tim Dencham,
Here.
Mackenzie Peters,
Here.
Eric Schaefer,
Here.
Kevin Smith.
Okay. Could we have approval of the meeting agenda? I'll make a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Okay, can we have approval of the consent agenda? I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I support.
Any discussion of that? All those in favor?
Aye. We need a roll
Roll call.
call. Roll call.
Roll call, roll call, okay, that's not my fault, but okay. Roll call, please.
Eric Schaefer,
Yes.
Mackenzie Peters. Tim Dencham,
Aye.
Kevin Smith, Ann Olberg.
Aye. Okay, any public comment?
I got a question. Why do we have to have a roll call for that since there's no money attached?
There is money
There's
attached.
money to bills.
Oh, gotcha. So that is saying that we're approving the bills.
Yes, that's correct.
Gotcha.
Bills and ordinances.
Yeah, but it's approving the consent agenda without any discussion. The consent is always no discussion. So you have to have a roll call on it.
Public comments?
I have a couple. I thought about this after I said I didn't have anything. A couple things that are coming on this week. We have a ribbon cutting on Friday at 3
That's
o'clock. So if you guys are around, that would be awesome to come and support Tim. And then Heritage Days is on Saturday. So if you guys are around, wanna help out, any fun stuff, I'm sure we'll all be here at some point. So let me know. I can assign some tasks and stuff, but I'm excited. I think it's coming together nicely.
Thank you. Reserve time, there's none. Okay. Old business, the mission statement and short and long-term goals.
Absolutely. So this, intend for this to potentially be on the agenda, as a placeholder, if nothing for, a period of time until we vet out, some of these ideas. I did, receive Mr. Dencham's feedback, and this has also been presented to the design and the economic vitality committees, that this is really the mission statement and vision statement have, the proposed, items have changed, since our previous discussion, where you'll note that the committee alignment is more, related to priorities, along with just, reiterating committee structure. If anyone has feedback, thoughts, comments, or concerns, this would be something that would also be viewed at each committee individually, as there's different priorities that need to be addressed by kind of an overarching structure.
Yes, I have comments. One of the things that one of my biggest concerns is when we look at the size that we have of our regular DDA board, and we look at the churn that we have, having more than 3, I think, is really stretching us thin, because one of these committees is probably not getting the love it needs by stretching that thin. So I think we need to pare down. So that was one thought. And then the second thought is, once we figure out what our mission and vision are, what we see ourselves looking like, then those committees need to line up with what those goals that we've set out to be. So I had a hard time, with my 1 year under my belt, looking at some of these things, the names of the current committees, and trying to figure out what the intent behind what those committees were supposed to do. And I can go and look at that, but to me, there seems like a disconnect between some of the titles and activities and then what our mission and vision are. So if we have the opportunity now, instead of just going like rubber stamping mission and vision, I would say that the best opportunity we have to really tighten all this up is to go look at those two very important parts of mission and vision, and then line up our committees, maybe change the name or whatever, so that they line up directly to what we've decided our priorities are.
So two things I can see in response to that too. The thought was potentially like the organizational committee, seeing this as a phased approach where the first phase being primarily directed by staff. And then later on, as we're engaging more and more volunteers, progressing more towards the board. But I had planned on reaching out to you to see if you were potentially available this Thursday, as we'll have a meeting with the Main Street Coordinator where we can, better approach some of these items and,
Maybe, I've got a grand opening weekend, it's kind of taking up a lot of my time,
so we'll
so,
put a pin in it, but
yeah,
let's see what we can get addressed.
Sure.
And
next week is wide open.
anyone else have any thoughts?
Other than
Comments, concerns?
just to state that Main Street requires these as structure and that priorities also are listed in that whole program when we went through training. So
But I know what Main Street has, but we don't get money from Main Street, I don't think we have to officially be beholden to everything that Main Street says. I think we can take a look at what they have as
Don't
a,
they have rules and guidelines of what we have to follow? So should it be, set up? the way-
regulations is,
Well,
But-
expectations.
yeah,
And this will
that's
be,
what I said.
this will be brought to the committees as we're working on drafting these, because you're correct. If we're going towards becoming a select committee, then there are resources and there are more standard boundaries versus an engaged committee.
I will say though, to Tim's point about paring down, is it a regulation to have a three-person committee when the board is just five of us, or can we pare down to a minimum of two until we staff up a little bit more?
There can be fewer members on the committee, and we can also have members that are not necessarily board members as well. That's all something that can be discussed and prioritized.
Okay.
Committee officer.
Any more discussion? Does this require us to, sorry,
There's no action needed. This is just,
Information.
see this as a living document. So ideally, as Mr. Denchel mentioned, that we can have this as part of our meeting agenda, where the board can then review in regards to what our mission statement and our vision is, for different areas. So we can, continue to stay on point to that, rather than potentially not having that.
so at this point, do you have satisfactory consensus to move forward with action, or?
I'm going to take this feedback and then we'll bring it to the committees individually.
Okay.
And as we get more feedback at some point, we'll ask the board for
Action. Okay, any other questions? Comments? Cool.
Okay, moving on to the new business, that is moving right into the election of officers.
So the recommendation is to elect a secretary to serve the remainder of the current officer term and review committee appointments to reflect current board membership and support implementation of the DDA Main Street Strategic Framework. So background, Article 5, Section 2 of the Downtown Development Authority bylaws provides that the board shall elect a chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary from among its members. The bylaws further provide that a vacancy in the office resulting from resignation may be filled by the board for the unexpired portion of the term. Following the vacancy in the office of secretary, the board is requested to elect a secretary to serve the remainder of the current officer term. Current officers are chairperson, Ms. Alberg, vice chair, Mr. Densham, and the secretary position is vacant. The board is also requested to review the current committee assignments and determine whether any changes are desired following recent changes in board membership. I have included who the current board members are on each of these committees, but noting that we also have a new board member here with us, thought it'd be prudent to look at both.
Does anybody have any
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
I read the bylaws, and obviously that doesn't pertain to an exact match of what's expected of board members, because there's a treasurer, like, there's some odds and ends procedurally that Middleville has adopted that doesn't coincide. So with the secretary, my question is, what are the exact responsibilities of that other than holding a seal?
So absolutely, so the secretary responsibilities are, signing off on the minutes. That's
Primarily the,
what it is. You know, everything else has been, designated by staff. But as you know, when the board approves of said minutes, then the secretary will sign off, verifying that. Because, yeah, if you'll look at page 3, section B, it does mention about the assistant secretaries or recording secretary, may be appointed from time to time.
right.
That's the
thought was-
process that we have done. So the secretaries are obligated to dictate the minutes.
Yeah, could we have you guys for that awesome task?
So it sounds like we got two things. We gotta elect officers and then we gotta,
You have to elect a secretary. No action is needed at the committee standpoint, but if there's interest in, board members interested in joining any committees, want to put it on as a potential opportunity. Or anyone else.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion then. I make a motion to, elect Eric Schaefer as the DDA secretary.
I'll support
I was
it.
waiting for the reaction on Eric's face, but he
Well, yeah, I
didn't
guess.
sit out of here,
The
so.
very first term, I was elected secretary to, I don't even know what board it was, but Catherine had backed out on something saying that, I'm new as commissioner right now, and I'm like, secretary, I can't fulfill that. And they're like, all you gotta do is sign the minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can do it. So, yeah, that lofty responsibility, I can fulfill it, and I'd be happy to do it.
Should you choose your mission?
At least he has a choice. When I showed up for vice president, they were like, looked around, like, you're the only person, so, okay.
Well, that's the vice president.
So we had a second on that.
Did Mackenzie, did you second? Okay, sorry, I just wanna make sure.
And any discussion on that whatsoever?
I think he'll do great.
Perfect. We have all those in favor of Eric Schaefer taking back on the secretary?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay.
That was his chance.
Well, you're back.
And if there's any interest in committee assignments, now would be the time, or can reach out to the chairperson. You can put that on agenda at a later date.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I would like to express interest in the events committee. I understand there's already 2 people appointed to that. However, I'm already involved as a volunteer, as a community member, so it would make sense for me to be appointed to that. And I'm happy to serve on any of the other 2 committees as well with my experience.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
You vote on that, or does the chair just appoint?
I mean, we've had it set as to where, it's been general consensus.
Yeah, she's involved in it already, so that it does make sense to put her on here. Do we have to do?
We have to have a
So
motion
is
and then
that-
approve.
So are you interested in the Economic Vitality Committee as well?
Yeah, I'm interested in that, but I'll leave it to Madam Chair to do the appointment if she seems.
Do I do that now, or do we do that?
Yes.
You can do that now, it's fine.
Okay, I'm gonna put her on this one. No. So if she does have interest in the Economic Vitality Committee, I'd like to appoint her to that as well. As the Events and Promotion Committee.
I'll support.
Those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Sweet. Cool, first time we've ever done that. All right, the second thing on our new business is the authorization to prepare and amend to the DDA bylaws.
So the recommendation is to authorize the Director of Community and Economic Development to work with the village attorney to prepare draft amendments to the Downtown Development Authority bylaws with legal review and drafting costs not to exceed $1,000. I'd anticipate it's highly likely that the cost could potentially exceed the threshold the director has for meeting the approval of expenses. And if you'll note, within the background, there are a couple items that are outdated that should potentially be addressed with their new framework and structure. So this will be working with the attorney and drafting those items to bring them back to the board at a later date.
Madam Chair.
I was just gonna, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the Director of Community and Economic Development to work with the village attorney to prepare draft amendments to the Downtown Development Authority bylaws with legal review and drafting costs not to exceed $1,000.
Second.
I have a discussion. For the
And this is a good time. This is when you do
Okay,
it.
so for the bylaws, I think that was mentioned a little bit earlier. Are we gonna get like what they were, what you changed them to make that?
Absolutely, I can definitely.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't know.
We're just, nothing, I'm giggling because it was exactly the right time for discussion.
All right.
I like,
It's it was procedural and I'm just giggling because I thought it was funny,
I like
for no
how,
other reason.
I like how the lawyer and the village tends to do updates with those things. They'll redline things, they'll provide you the original,
And
redline
that's-
it, and then like.
Okay,
What
well,
I'd
I
like to
wasn't-
see is a red line copy to see
So
exactly.
yeah, I can
what was
definitely
amended.
bring the red line copy, and just for reference purposes too, this would be a recommendation, the village council would have to adopt any amendments to the DDA's bylaws.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
I would
sorry,
definitely
I've
bring
never
that.
done this before, Kevin, so I.
I'm
just,
not being
you know,
critical.
it's-
No,
Just-
that was
I
I'm-
just wanted to make
You know
sure.
what, I'm having joy at the end of my day, so this brought me joy.
You know what?
There's many times that we
Makes you
don't
feel less.
follow the rules and we just have the discussion before the motion and the support.
Yeah,
And it was like.
It was perfect.
Perfect.
It was literally a perfect execution, so that's why I found it funny, because it's sometimes not here, but in other boards, it's chaos, so it was refreshing.
Okay, all those in favor
Oh,
of,
we need a roll call.
Well, so discussion wise, what prompted this? What is the reason why we need to have the lawyers look at this? Is this because we're gonna go and change something in the bylaws, or we're expecting to change something in the bylaws? What are we expecting to change in the bylaws?
So I would certainly expect changes in the bylaws, primarily related to that the previous structure from staff was different when this was designed. So there would likely need to be some updates specified to that as to where the bylaws coincide more with how the DDA operations are currently being handled. That's the primary precursor to it.
what about the number of board members?
It's also a good standard to review bylaws.
What about the number of board members?
So that's not something that we could address through the bylaws, per se. But I guess I would need more information of what you mean.
Why couldn't you do it through bylaws? Isn't that the whole point of the
Wanting
bylaws?
to-
Lay all that stuff out?
No, I just know in sidebar conversations, it had floated around to reduce the, especially in the council, reduce the number of DDA appointees from 9 to 7, just, because it's hard to maintain a board of 9. And so I was just curious if that was gonna be circled back around and looked at.
I can certainly look into that too.
That would have to happen by resolution of the council.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly why we decided that 9 remained a better number, but there was something that was about
You're still able to function as a quorum even if you have
Yeah.
less than
9.
9, you still are able to make decisions with the majority of those present. So, even though there's not everybody is, not all the seats are filled. So, majority of what you got here, 3 out of 5 would suffice.
I mean, if we were to take a time machine back to day 1 of the DDA, that number was chosen because,
Stakeholders in the community, people.
was that a mandate that came down.
So, no, it's not a specific
Did we
mandate.
just sit in a room
but,
and throw
I
a
mean,
number
if-
out?
I mean, we know a couple of the people that are on the commission board that we could reach out to get some of that information. However, if we are trying to engage more volunteers, the more board seats allows,
I see.
more, representation.
When I was on it before, we had such a full board that we had a table out in front. It was like that for the whole.
That's gonna be you. You'll be out there with a gavel on a card
Yeah.
table.
And so, I mean, so nine, obviously it kills two birds with one stone for the volunteer component of it. So there's really no legals.
So
Right.
I can say that Mr. Newmeyer and Ms. Getty were both on the
Yeah.
first board.
I think if I recall, our trainings went back years ago. The board wanted to have certain representation from those that had stakeholding in the district, those that had stakeholding immediately after the district, and those that had stakeholding by being frequent operators without a residence of employment or residence within the district. So I think that's why they devised that number. It's something to look at if we can't fill
And
nine.
if you do reduce the amount, you still have to have someone that resides in the district, so that gives less business representation too. Because it's not common that someone lives and works in the district.
But if we were to operate with 7 or 5, I mean, we have, as long as we have a quorum, right, that pretty much does the trick, so I don't.
Yeah, there's currently 5 members appointed to this board, so there's 100% of the board represented.
So.
All right.
Okay, can we have the voice vote, please?
Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
Eric Schaefer,
Aye.
Tim Dencham,
Yes.
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
and Alberg.
Yes. The next is the budget adjustment.
So the recommendation is the board to consider increase in the DDA fund balance to reflect revenues and appropriate funds to cover exceeded expenses. Background budget categories and line items are expected to vary as needs change throughout the fiscal year. The DDA budget looks stable and we are staying within the appropriation amounts by fund. The proposed adjustments represent changes to individual categories within funds that require modifications to accommodate revenues received and certain expenditures that exceeded the budgeted appropriation. So the summary, you'll note that there are a couple changes that are listed in there. One is the increase in the general fund by $3,018.31, appropriation of $1,256.90 from the unassigned DDA fund balance to cover the following expenditures, being consultants, audit, printing and shipping, and dues and subscription expenditures. We'll note that on the back page, it has a breakdown of said services that I can say that our auditing costs vary year from year. Trying to see if we can get a better understanding, because that's where the consultant services as well as the audit fees that you see the majority of the exceeding expenses are from, but have not been able to get it specific in regards to why one year is significantly higher than another year.
Sometimes they pick on the DDA, and other items they don't.
Yeah.
It's just.
So that's one of those things that we'll have to, figure out how to, I had no interaction with auditors. I can't say, just that it's one of those things that we'll have to figure out, from future year budgeting needs.
We're not having a resolution number to reference in the motion, but Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to approve the budget adjustments proposed in this document.
I'll second.
Memorandum?
Memorandum, yes.
I'll second. Thank you, Mackenzie. Okay, we have roll call.
Tim Dencham,
Yes.
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Eric Schaefer,
Yes.
Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
and Alberg.
the director's report.
So absolutely, so a couple things, so from the budget and financing or financial planning standpoint, just wanted to note that the Economic Vitality Committee will have to schedule a July meeting, to, have a first read of that, as well as Design Committee will have to work on scheduling a meeting in July, to review the updated proposals for the sign meeting, check on availability after that. I completed the EDFP certification, a lot of hours done.
Was there a test?
There was like 3
Well
or
done.
4 hours and then a 6-hour exam. So a little bit of time. And regarding the updates that you've seen with the committee structure that I've listed on the final page, staff priorities, regarding the budget, along with one Middleville strategic planning session, and, reviewing a master plan, survey results, along with implementation of streetscape and, working on annual work plans, the framework. Yeah, does anyone have any questions for me?
That's it? Thank you. Okay, so informational items,
So
Rachel,
th-
report,
this-
you're gonna go ahead and take care of that. Talk about that.
Yeah, okay. So the first one, this is in reference to the audit. So I don't know if everyone's gotten a chance to look at this or not, but this is the DDA, the areas that are highlighted in yellow are related to the DDA expenses.
That we just adjusted, right? Or no?
Pass this, because Mackenzie, you're gonna need that kind of extra copy. So this is actually from 2025 in regards to our expense revenue, assets, liabilities. It breaks down the health of the DDA finances. More than happy to discuss this, any comments, questions, or concerns, but it's really informational to make sure that you have access to this information. But happy to address it, or if I'm not able to, we can touch base with treasurer and have a consultation there too.
I would just love to see when we talk about the budget, a reduction in the number of line items. A pet peeve of mine,
It is.
because I think that it's just so difficult to look through that to really figure out what's going on, because there's so many nitpicky line items that, like, to me, we could roll up so many of those things into one area and then have a better, I think we'd have a better feel for how we're actually spending money and how we're doing with our targets. Because when I look at this, there's just so much on there, I just have a hard time putting that into consideration.
We'll have that discussion here at our next budget meeting.
That sounds wonderful.
I hope they do something for you too.
That will be great.
That'd be awesome. Village manager's report is in here for your reading pleasure, or somebody like to speak about that?
You don't get an in-person?
I mean, he's probably
You
doing.
don't have to have any questions.
Come to the One Middleville chat, make sure.
Mackenzie and Tim both read RSVP, and Kevin and Doug, Caitlin.
So, okay, I'm gonna use that as an opening, unless you, because we're actually kind of on your time right
Yeah, go
here. But I think this One Middleville, I look at what we could do as the DDA, and I think we need to be the leader in looking at where this region goes. From the standpoint that we do have an unusual situation that we're part of the township and we're part of the village. But we are an organization, the DDA specifically, that has the funding and some authority to be able to go and go after things that's usually very difficult for a nonprofit or even a government entity, especially since we're split between there, So as I look at this again, after a year of being here, I think we, the DDA, are the ones that should be the leaders that kind of guide what the future looks like, because we have the most resources to be able to go and do that. So I say that as we go into this One Middleville, I'm excited about this meeting. But I think that before we go in there, I just want to state to the group here that I think we, the DDA, are the best one stationed to be able to lead where the future goes. So my thoughts on that as far as what needs to happen and where we could be going.
So the consultant that will be helping with that meeting, I believe he probably started in DDAs. Yeah, that's where his background is, so, yeah, that'll definitely be a good conversation point.
And he knows Middleville really well.
Yes.
And I think, there's, we're so collaborative in so many ways, on our day-to-day. I mean, if the township needs a bucket truck, we'll send it your way. Or if you want to participate in helping us fund the Paul Henry Trail, that's fantastic. I mean, we collaborate all the time. We collaborate with Bradford White. We collaborate with the school, which is interesting. We could be better in all of those places. And I think just the line of communication and setting expectations is important. But there was, when we were there to discuss with the superintendent, they redid the whole front of that school and never actually thought to call the village to find out, hey, could we expand this project to maybe stave off 4 lanes of traffic going down Main Street by the elementary school? That never even occurred to them. And I think that when we look at an opportunity to say, hey, look, we just want to align expectations to where, hey, it's okay if the village calls up the township and says, hey, we really need your help with something, and vice versa, or the school, or Bradford White, or a business leader in the community, the DPW, or the TAPRC, whatever. Like, all of those organizations, all of us have our own, interestingly enough, our own unique vision of what we want 49333 to look like. And I think it's probably a lot more aligned and a lot more, it's very similar, I think, across the board. And I think I would love to see us acknowledge that and build that into when the village does a strategic plan, when the DDA does a strategic plan. I would love for us to respond in kind with the school, with the township, and say, how do we make sure that we're putting time, effort, and resources in the right places so that it aligns with your vision or the school's vision or whatever.
So I think part of a joint planning, which is, we're trying to get that going again.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna help address some of this. Where that went off the rails, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Really, I don't. But I think that just having joint planning sessions going again, that's gonna help the village and the township.
For sure, referencing the committee or separate? You referencing the joint planning authority or?
We had joint planning sessions between the township and the village, but the One Middleville, I think, kind of expands that to include Bradford White, who's certainly influential in our community and could help us help them. And also, I would say any other business leader that wants to attend that is certainly invited to come to it. But I also think a key component is, how do we just learn to CC each other when, for instance, if I'm the superintendent and I'm planning a large scale parking lot redo and I'm trying to address traffic on Main Street, I think it would be really great to get, say, Sergeant Ware's perspective on what traffic's like when it goes by there. I mean, we had a really productive conversation, and it seemed almost shocking to them that we weren't included in the decision-making process, or at least the planning. We don't have to make the choices, but it would be great if we had a seat at the table to just at least comment on things. So I think that this meeting is really designed to help us find the best way to communicate that. And I think to Tim's point, from an economic development perspective, I think it makes really good sense for us to be able to say, yeah, we want to raise the flag and represent Middleville in a particular.
Well, what happens in the DDA district affects all the residents in the town.
100%.
That's gonna keep growing too. I mean, it's already, increased taxable value this year, and then once, McDonald's is on the roll, I mean, you're gonna see another,
And very likely
Shot in the
at
arm.
least two more fairly decent businesses are slated to move into town as well. So my point is, things like how do we use our TIF and how do we, to put guardrails on that, to be able to apply that as a very targeted tool for developers that want to invest in the community. Where do we want to spend our money? Is it with parks and quality of life, or is it
Yeah, because TEP.
redoing the downtown, whatever that looks like? But again, just being able to sit at the table and get feedback from every entity in the community that really should have a seat at the table, that are all stakeholders in our success, I think that meeting is going to be invaluable.
I like what Tim said, and Kevin, like you said, we're in the best position to be able to tackle a lot of wants and beautification and development as a collaborative effort between the entities. Just because you look at a good example is parks, TAPRC gets a rolling budget every year of 13.5. Between township, village, that's not much to do anything with.
Mhm.
So, as long as it's within the district, the district in itself is its own amenity to the broader township residents. So, and we have the most available budget and resources to improve on those things. So I'm looking forward to the meeting because I remember the village's budget and what I know of the townships. Incoming revenues is really regulated based on the need to deal with infrastructure, or, the township collects millage on fire and that has to go completely to fire and EMS. So they can't touch that for infrastructure improvements or things like that. So we want to hit our wants, but we have to align all
Or
the
a drain
capital.
assessment of 1.7 million.
Right, but if we want to align our wants, we have to align our capital improvement plans, and you pick and choose what we have a budget for next year. So.
Anyway, that happens the 21st, so it would be great if we had multiple people on that, present during that meeting, and we are really hoping for, I think we're aiming for like 25, 30 people, which is a good number. And certainly it won't be just government. We have good business representation, and I think hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have the school board and school administrators there as well, so.
yep, sounds like the superintendent's gonna be there. Sounds like at least 2 board members, so.
That's awesome. And I don't recall ever a time, and Eric, I'm gonna defer to you, I mean, has there ever been where we all just kind of sit around the table and powwow, or?
Been a long time.
Yeah, I'd say the closest that the entities have come together is on TAPRC. I mean, in my tenure, which isn't super long, but I think that's the only time that all 3 entities have come together in any setting.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll put my old hat on, in that the number of people and the organizations that are attending that for the sake of economic vitality and community growth also probably need to have another meeting with the same group of people to talk about emergency management, because if we haven't had a meeting about that, then we probably should have somebody having a discussion just in case something weird happens. If you don't have those people sitting down and discussing and going through some of those things.
We've got a gentleman that's the emergency director for.
Well, I know there are, but if you don't get all the people together, and that's putting a lot of the EM can only do so much. So to work effectively as an organization, we probably would need to have that same group of people going, sitting down with the EM and discussing what our concerns are. Again, from my previous emergency response hat. that if you don't do that, then suddenly something bad happens, and suddenly everybody gets really excited about emergency management, but it's boring, but we should probably think about that before the bad thing happens. Anyhow, I'll stop talking.
I think Bill does a really good job.
Who?
Bill.
I'm not talking, there's, Berry County has Patrick Jansen's is the emergency
Manager.
for entire
Okay.
Berry County.
Just want to, propose the new tower here, right?
Patrick?
Was it?
No, that was Stephanie Lehman that came and presented that tower. For the
She's no
911
longer with Berry
dispatch.
County.
Yeah, she just go. Any more discussion on that? Okay. And next is revenue versus expense report.
So there's actually 2 months, being the month of May and the month of June, and you're just, because of time.
Questions on that? The bank statement, the balancing on that. Some questions on the bank statement? May and June? No? And public comment?
What's up?
Okay, anything else to add, Craig? No?
I think I've been saying enough in peanut gallery.
Okay, so we'll go to the board member comments. We'll start with Mackenzie, the new gal on the block.
Just excited to be here, excited to get my hands a little bit more dirty in this, board than I did on the council, because it's a little bit more hands-on with the volunteering and things, but excited to be here, excited to get my foot back in public service. So, thank you for having me. So.
Looking forward to Heritage Day this Saturday, and the weekend after that, Brew Fest in Hastings. I got my beer shirt. It's the old Schaefer beer symbol, but it's a Lion shirt. It's gonna be pretty awesome. And it works.
Going fully armed.
I got it.
Kevin?
Nothing we covered. The One Middleville meeting is pretty much the top of my mind. So I'm excited for that. And I'm sad to say that I'm flying out of town on Thursday night for the work-related issue that I have to be gone all weekend, actually. So I won't be at Heritage Days, and it breaks my heart. So
Well, on
text
Monday,
me pictures.
Monday
I wanna
we'll
see
have
how
a
it
duct tape for you on.
Yes, I hope so. I deserve it. I
Just in
deserve it.
front. Keep coming up.
We pulled a band together and everything.
I know, right? I am so disappointed, but it is what that is, so. But I will be pestering folks to send me pictures and let me know how it goes, so I'm very excited about it.
I'm all set.
I would like to welcome Mackenzie. I think he'll be an excellent addition to our motley crew here. Welcome, and for the Heritage Days is on Saturday. I'm looking forward to that and everything everybody's put into that to bring that together. That's been quite a foregoing on that. Other than that, I have nothing else. So do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I will support it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting's adjourned.